All right. Well, let's look at the more rational side of this. There are people who have a real problem with Dreamers and the abuse that they perceive this is on our system. Jimmy Kimmel does a video where he brings together Trump supporters who are anti-immigration, broadly speaking, and a DACA recipient. The DACA recipient, I don't know if they named her last name, but her name is Esmeralda. She was brought to this country, I believe, as a 2-year-old. She's now, I think, in her 20s. She is there with her fiance and their baby. Her fiance is a U.S. Military serviceman. Kimmel has assembled, I think, about 6 or 7 people who have said that they are very vehemently against Dreamers. And good for Kimmel insofar as he was not willing to sort of pretend like these people had a point. And let's just pick it up midway through. I think, like, I don't know if I've seen a video that encapsulates what's more effed up about this country than this one in a long time.
Michael is being deployed soon overseas, which leaves his fiance and his daughter behind, which means his fiance could be sent back to Mexico while he's overseas. So do you think a man who's serving this country, who's an active member of the military, do you think he should be treated like this?
First off, the little girl cannot be deported. I think she should be deported. She needs to go back to her own country and work on fixing her own country. If she wants to come over legally, that's his responsibility to figure out how she's going to get back here.
So as a former military
Pause it for
guy,
1 second.
you don't feel...
Understand how completely dedicated these 6 Trump supporters, anti-immigrant supporters are, how dedicated they are. And watch as it's exposed how little they know about this process.
Oh, and the mom is a DACA recipient, right?
Yes, the mom is the DACA recipient. The child is born in this country, is an American citizen. The other man, the fiance, is an American citizen. Just watch the intersection of total ignorance and total assuredness.
How she's going to get back here.
So as a former military guy, you don't feel that a fellow veteran, a fellow military man...
First off, she can go back and come in the legal way.
Do you know that if she goes back, it could take 10 years for her to get her green card?
That's
She'd
what
have
it
to stay in Mexico?
I would get an immigration attorney.
Yes.
We do have one.
And
And
that's what the immigration attorney told me.
What you said.
Jimmy,
Yes.
we can agree to disagree, but I know that you will concur with me that we live in a most loving, compassionate, and exceptional country.
No, I don't. I don't agree with that.
Why not?
Well,
I think this country has become cruel and
Well,
I mean,
okay.
look at this, the woman and her husband who's in the military. Where is your compassion? Mind if we let Michael speak for a second, because I can see that he has something that he wants to say.
Pause it for 1 second. Did you hear the woman in the back, the African-American woman? They get everything for free. Like the myths and misunderstandings that these people have and are so wedded to their position and have not done a lick of legitimate research on this.
Realize is the process, it's hard, it's grueling. We're going through it. We as a family have paid so much money to make sure that everything's documented and right. Oh, absolutely. Okay? Mm-hmm. And what a lot of people like to focus on is what bad has happened. But the people who are doing everything right and who are trying to go through the process the best way we can, and financially, skipping bills, even just to get the documents right, going without water, electricity.
There was a young man, he was 22 years old at UC Irvine, and I spoke to him calmly and cogently, and I said, you are here illegally. This is not your country.
I'm trying to imagine you as a little boy.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I can.
When she was brought here, and then she came over that border, overstay, however she is, illegal. Okay? She's in violation of the Constitution, no matter how it is. I'm telling you.
She did nothing wrong. She was a baby.
You say that you work, right, and that you pay taxes, but you don't have a social security
Yes,
card.
I do. If you
How
have
did you get that
DACA,
social
if
How
you
did
have,
obtain one?
can I speak?
Yes.
If you receive DACA,
Which was unconstitutional.
if you receive DACA, you get your social security card granted by the government. It has my name. It says with DHS authorization. And with that, you have to go get your biometrics done to get a work permit.
Okay, now here's the other thing
And
about
that work permit
Well, go ahead and finish, I'm sorry.
expires every 2 years.
Right.
Okay.
Every 2 years.
Have you been one
I
of
didn't
those who
have health
protested
insurance
against the
for
United
18.
States?
I'm an American citizen. I didn't
That's
have health
okay.
insurance too,
But
and I
you
lost
said
my eye.
Options for her are available. I do not think that she will be deported.
Well, I hope you're right. I do
believe
hope
in
you're
the
right,
rule of
Robin.
law, but
There you go. I mean, the total lack of understanding of the process of which is it's amazing to me. I mean, this is the conversation we had with Michael Schur earlier. It is perfectly legitimate in my mind for people to know nothing about anything. Like you can know nothing, and we sit here every day and we read this stuff, and we have people who I have access to who can describe certain things, or I'm paid essentially by you folks to read this stuff. And there's a lot of people who don't have the time to do it. That's all well and good. But to form such a rock hard, vicious opinion and stance on this without having done any research is just, it's a sickness. It's a sickness.
I mean, also the woman who talked about losing her eye and not having medical insurance, what a moron that she would gravitate towards the political side of the spectrum that wouldn't do anything, do nothing for it. But I want to just say really briefly, I think for people on, my side of the equation and generally our side of the equation that make the point a lot that a broad economic universalist left message is the way forward morally and strategically. It's an important reminder that there's a real contingent here of just bad, disgusting people.
Well,
and they're not going to be persuaded ethically.
And here's
if you can look at that family in the eye and that child, and that's your response, you're morally gone.
And part of the dynamic is we always, there's always a feeling of like, I don't want to be the lowest person on the totem pole. And now maybe that goes away if everybody's on the same position of the totem pole, or maybe there are people who just make their self-worth is a function of being able to make sure that there are people below them. I mean, there's no way for us to know where these people are demographically or economically. But the bottom line is there's just some people in that room who they're just out and out racist. I mean, they don't think they are, but they're bad people.
It's so hard. And I do have a bit of a critique of the respectability politics involved in presenting the most sympathetic immigrant possible.
Yes.
And saying this guy's a good immigrant. Don't you have empathy for him? But also the thing about empathy, and it is what drives a lot of my politics, and I'm not going to dismiss it, but some people can be persuaded by personal interactions and empathy, like Christian Piccolini, who we had on the other day, and a lot of other people can't. And a lot of because racism is not rational. It's not rational, and you can't always reason people out of it. But a lot of how stuff changes is people interact with people of other races and cultures on a daily basis. Maybe they're part of their lives, or maybe they work together. And that's why unions are so important too, because they get people to start seeing people who they might think are different from them as allies in a coalition. So like Sean has some old racists in his family who nonetheless decided to work together with people of other races in the union and became friends that way. And that's how these attitudes are eroded.
That's right. But there are the other value of this, and which why I appreciate this so much. And I agree with you. We're going to bring on the most sympathetic. Her fiance is a military personnel. Yes. But we're watching a comedy show. And the thing that I appreciate about what Kimmel did is this was not He was not bringing these people in there to try and convince those 6 people. He was bringing these people together so that we could see, like, holy shit, these people are immutable and they just need to be defeated. Right. Period. End of story. Maybe he can peel off that lady for this one very, very sympathetic person.
That's fine.
That's great. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it is a call to action for the rest of us to say, like, whatever you thought you were going to do to make sure that those people lose, do it, and then do it twice.
That's right.
The variable that I think would change things a bit more than, how deserving the DACA recipient is if the makeup of the actual Trump supporter audience. So, like, let's say only one of those people was an actual anti-DACA person and the rest were plants, and they would have acted like they were buying the woman's story or the family story, and they would have said, oh, yeah, actually, and universally they would have said, okay, fine, like, you should stay.
That would be an interesting experiment.
Bet you the one person would have flipped.
That would have been an interesting experiment. You bring that person into 2 different, and you do the same person just to see. I mean, then it becomes about that person, but that would have been interesting to see.